Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Chris Paul's chances of finally winning a ring. The Suns are coming off of a 14-point victory in Game 2 against the Clippers. Even though the Suns are only the 4th seed in the Western Conference, they seem to be the favorites to win the NBA Finals this season. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Will Chris Paul finally win a championship this season? And to me, that's going to be dependent on Chris Paul himself, and that's going to be dependent on the health of the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul himself is a known choker come playoff time. There's a reason why Chris Paul, outside of the last few years on the Phoenix Suns, have lacked success in the NBA playoffs. It's because for whatever reason, he has always seemed to come up short, whether it's because he's made one more mistake than the opponent or because he's been snake bitten by bad luck. It's also because of the fact that he is injury prone as well in big games. We saw Chris Paul several years ago miss Game 6 and Game 7 for the Houston Rockets because he had a hamstring injury that came up at the worst possible time. Had he been able to stay healthy, and I'm saying this as a Warriors fan, they probably would have beaten the Warriors in that series. Had Chris Paul stayed healthy, he probably would have won the championship that year. Chris Paul's luck is very bad when it comes to staying healthy on the court at the right time, and I'm afraid that's going to happen again for the Phoenix Suns this season. You look at the Phoenix Suns, they've got Kevin Durant, they've got Chris Paul, they've got Devin Booker, they've got Deandre Ayton. Torrey Craig is a solid 3-and-D player. Josh Okogie, he can provide some points off the bench. And then they got Bismack Biyombo, who's a decent rim protector. But other than that though, the Phoenix Suns don't really have a lot of depth to be playing with. And when I'm telling y'all about guys like Bismack Biyombo, that's more like here and there. They're not players that you can expect to rely on a consistent basis. This Phoenix Suns team is top heavy, and that's fine being top heavy, but if you're top heavy, you better have some nice depth that's behind you, because if you get one of those star players to get injured, they are going to be screwed. That's why the Brooklyn Nets' super team broke up and why they underachieved so much. Yes, they had all the top level talent in the world. Here's the problem though. They had no depth whatsoever. They traded away all their depth so they could go get James Harden, who didn't even last 2 years on that team. He moved on from the Nets rather quickly. And then you look at the KD and Kyrie signing. Those were great signings on paper. Here's the problem though. They had to gut a lot of the roster in order to sign those dogs. And then those dogs, they wanted DeAndre Jordan on their team as well. So they also had to clear cap space, which meant they had to get rid of some decent role players just so they could get DeAndre Jordan on their team. The point of the matter is, when you talk about winning NBA championships, they have to have depth pieces. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks the year they won the title. They had a lot of bench pieces. They had a lot of role players, yes, but they had a lot of them that stepped up when it mattered most. They had a lot of depth. It also helped that Giannis Antetokounmpo was a superstar as well. You look at the Golden State Warriors last year, how they won the championship. Yeah, they had Steph Curry. Yeah, they had Klay Thompson. Yeah, they had Andrew Wiggins. And they had Draymond Green. But you look at the rest of the team that they had. They had Gary Payton chipping in. They had Belinka chipping in points as well. They had guys off the bench going off, Jordan Poole included as well. Kevon Looney, solid role player for the Golden State Warriors. So you look at the last two champions, they had nice depth pieces. And then you look at the Lakers during their bubble championship year. They had 2 star players and a bunch of role players, but they were really good at what they did. I mean, yeah, they had LeBron James. Yeah, they had Anthony Davis. But you look at the rest of the role players out there, Danny Green, Dwight Howard, KCP, Kyle Kuzma. They had a lot of role players off the bench. Caruso as well. Don't forget about him as well. So you look at the last 3 champions, they were very reliant on depth. And then I'll even go back 4 years ago to the Toronto Raptors, the year they won the championship. You know how they won the championship? Because they had a lot of depth pieces to rely on. Yeah, they had Kawhi Leonard, but outside Kawhi Leonard, who else did they really have? They had good players, but they were not necessarily superstar players or even necessarily star players. They just had a lot of guys that did their job really well. And that's what the Phoenix Suns have to deal with right now. Yes, they got Kevin Durant. Yes, they got Devin Booker. Yes, they've got Chris Paul. Yes, they've got DeAndre Ayton. But outside of those 4 guys, and that's a very big 4 by the way, because those are 4 very good players, who else do the Phoenix Suns have to rely on? Because we've seen Chris Paul miss time due to injury in big games. We've seen Devin Booker not show up in big games. You look at the last 2 years, he's pulled off a disappearing act. I like Devin Booker. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. But let's be honest, Devin Booker, he's never going to be that number 1 guy that can lead a team to win a championship on his own. He's going to need a sidekick along him. And okay, fine, they got Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant's body is breaking down. Kevin Durant's getting older now. I mean, look, KD, he's still a great player. He can put up great stats. Nobody is arguing about that. And he can have games where he goes off from time to time. But the biggest thing for Kevin Durant right now is health. Can he remain healthy? because he's had trouble staying healthy the last few years in the NBA. Ever since he tore the Achilles for the Golden State Warriors, this man has done nothing but miss time due to injury for his team. And whether it's bad luck or not, the reality of the matter is he's not on the court as often as he should be. So that means that the Phoenix Suns have to have one of those players end up getting injured. They are going to be screwed because they don't have the depth to cover for one of those star players. That means that I can't say that the Phoenix Suns are going to win the title this year. Do I think that they can beat the Clippers? Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they could beat the Clippers. I said Suns in 5 before the series started. You know what? It might take 6 games, but I still think the Suns are going to win the series rather comfortably. They've got too much shooting, and they're just an overall better team than the LA Clippers. The LA Clippers is basically Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and everybody else. They're not going to have to be worried about their lack of depth in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. They should be good there. They're going to end up winning against the LA Clippers, whether it's in 5 or 6 games. They're going to move on to the second round, and that's where my concern for the Phoenix Suns is going to be, because how are they going to stop the Denver Nuggets? Because the Denver Nuggets, they got the depth pieces that they need in order to make a run to the NBA Finals, and they got 2-time MVP candidate Nikola Jokic on their team. They've got Jamal Murray, and I know that the Phoenix Suns, they seem to match up well with the Denver Nuggets on paper, but if one of those guys have to go out due to injury, this is not a series that I expect the Phoenix Suns to win. I expect Chris Paul to lose in the second round of the NBA playoffs this year. I think it's going to go 7 games. I would not be surprised if the Nuggets lost to the Suns in 7 games, but the point of the matter is, I think that the Phoenix Suns, they're not going to go back to the NBA Finals this year. They're going to lose in the second round. Again, as 2-time MVP candidate Nikola Jokic is going to go off in the series. He's going to show that he is indeed one of the best players on the planet, and that people need to stop disrespecting him in general. I think the Nuggets, they have a point to make. They're going to be making a huge run to the NBA Finals this year. With that being said, that means that the Phoenix Suns can't make a run to the NBA Finals, which means Chris Paul will not be able to win an NBA championship this year, even though this is his greatest roster that he's ever had to work with, even though this is the best team that he's ever been on. No, he will not end up winning an NBA title this year. I just don't see how they're going to get past the Denver Nuggets in the NBA playoffs. Now, do I think they can get past the LA Clippers? Definitely. I think they could definitely get past them. As far as getting past the Denver Nuggets, I just don't see it happening. So that is why Chris Paul will not win a championship this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran and @SportsGuyTalking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.